Baker College that's going to be talking to us about saving all the money to buy all the booze, learning to hack all the things on a budget, which is pretty awesome. So let's all give them a warm round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. So, all right, let's go right into it. So, quick disclaimer. I am not endorsed or sponsored by any of the company's individuals or memes in this presentation. There are going to be quite a few memes. There's also going to be lots of links. I apologize for the wall of text that you're going to see throughout this. Try to get a bit.ly going. For whatever reason, I couldn't get it. So the reason I did that was to try to save all of you a lot of Google foo. So hopefully you find that to be helpful. Why did I really want to give this presentation? I wanted to give this information to those starting out. So essentially what 3 year ago me wanted to know getting into this InfoSec community, and basically everything I know now given to that. So all of the tools discussed in this are low cost or legit free. There will be absolutely no talk of piracy or anything like that in this. And of course, I wanted to save money and learn new things. So if you know me on Slack or Twitter or anything like that, if you're looking for either of these two guys, sorry, I don't look like that. I also don't look like this anymore. I grew my hair out to donate to local charity, something I learned from Amazon and just kind of wanted to give back. So as I said earlier, Michael Morkis, handle is Gondrith. I'm a student of cyber defense at Baker College of Jackson. It's my second attempt at a degree, so I've been down this road a couple times. So I work at Baker College. I'm an IT specialist there. I've been there for about 2 years now. I've been officially doing IT work for about 4 years, and I've been a father for 2 years and a husband for 10. So all the boring crap out of the way. Can we get on with it? Yes. Let's get on with it. So first and foremost, you're going to need some gear. You're going to need a computer. So a couple things to look for, obviously, is the processor. I have a very strong preference for Intel. I've had a lot of reliability out of it. They are a little bit more expensive, but if you want to save even more, AMD's great. They've been getting better the past couple of years, so they're very competitive with it. I don't quite know if the FX and the Ryzen are the ones to look for. Couldn't get a lot of information out of everybody that loves AMD. So Intel i5, Intel i7, you're looking for a lot of cores, either physical or hyper-threaded. You're also going to need 8 gigs of RAM or more, and I'll get into why a little bit later. And you're going to need lots of hard drive space. We're going to be virtualizing a lot of our environments, so hard drive space is key. So a couple ways you can do that. You can get it through externals. They're super cheap right now. I checked Amazon before the talk. It's $50 for a 1 terabyte external drive. It's ridiculously cheap. But the problem with that is when you have it hooked up to a computer, the reads are a little bit slow, so your VM may not work quite as well as you want it to. Another option is to buff up your internal platter drives. So those are pretty close to external drives, $65 when I checked for Western Digital Blue on Amazon. And then they do offer a little bit better reads, a little bit faster times. And then obviously solid states are super fast, but they're really expensive. A 1 terabyte solid state is running about $270 right now, and that's on sale. So I threw a cheap solid state in here just to kind of get things going a little bit faster. I've not looked back from it, and it was a great buy on my part. And then the other thing to look at when you're looking at laptops and desktops, make sure that the motherboard can do virtualization. You can check that in the BIOS section. I don't know how many people I've helped with just getting started. They try to run VMware, they try to run VirtualBox, they try to run something, and just won't load, and it keeps popping up the error message. Do you have virtualization enabled? And they don't know how to check it. So double check on that, make sure it can before you buy it. Another friend of mine bought a little cheap laptop and can't even virtualize off of it, so he wasted his money. So there's a couple places you can get your gear. Obviously there's eBay. super cheap. More than likely it's used. I picked up my first school laptop through them for $100. It came with 2 licenses and Windows, which was really cool. And then if you find something that is missing parts or anything like that, you can find a lot of obscure parts on eBay. A lot of the resellers will part out computers that are older and sell the parts individually because it drives up profit for them. So if you're missing like the faceplate of your laptop to the hard drive, you can get that there. There's also a lot of great college surplus stores. They go through equipment quite often. They have end of life cycles for a lot of their computers. So a lot of times they'll just resell it to the community. If you can find some great deals there. Ridiculously cost. Sometimes they don't even know what they have. I heard a story about somebody found server blades for $10, but the towers there for that day were $300, and the servers were a lot more powerful than the towers. So give that a look. Obviously, there's Amazon, Newegg, Tiger Direct, places like that. All the gear there is new, but the price goes up obviously from there. And then one place I like to do when I'm making my custom builds of towers is a PC Part Picker. PC Part Picker will let you create a full list of parts as well as make sure that they're compatible with each other. So if you pick an i5 processor, it will actually filter out all the motherboards that don't mesh with that. And if you find a case that doesn't have USBs, but your motherboards or the front panel USBs aren't 3.0, it'll actually flag that when you go to get on with that, and it'll let you know, hey, front panels are 2.0s, you can have 3.0s, find another case. So that's pretty cool. Virtualization, there's a lot of different software out there that you can get that will let you virtualize stuff. The one that I like the most is VMware. It is costly. It's about, I think it was like $150 for a license for students, but my school offers it for free, so that's the one I've been using since I started college. It worked great for me. The networking is awesome. You can get into the nitty-gritty of the hardware, and the menus are pretty intuitive. So there's also VirtualBox. This one is 100% free. It's run by Oracle. I've had problems running VirtualBox, but I've heard people swear by it. So check it out, give it a try, see which one you like best. If you're more into Linux, there's KVM, which is kernel-based virtual machine, and Virt Manager. So KVMs is built into a lot of the newer flavors of Linux, and you can use Virt Manager to kind of manage the KVM. So it's kind of like two pieces of software to kind of work together. So tried digging into this a little bit. Haven't had a lot of luck, but I'm still plugging away at it. So there's also Kimu. It's open source and free. It's another one that I heard about from a buddy of mine, and looks like a lot of fun. I'm still digging into it. I'm not really too far into it because I got KVM to play around with too. So Hyper-V is the Microsoft version of virtualization or a hypervisor. It's baked into Windows 10 Pro Enterprise Education. You're going to see this in a lot of corporate environments. So if you have a Pro license on your laptop, give that a try. Check out maybe build a hypervisor inside of a hypervisor and do like an Inception kind of deal. So give that a try. There's also Vagrant. Vagrant's not really a hypervisor. It's more of a tool to help build off of your hypervisor. It's got options for VMware, VirtualBox, things like that. So what I like about Vagrant, I caught this at a MySec talk, and basically you download your ISO or you download it from them, and you tell it to spin up the VM. And then you can also build arguments into it, like say you want say you're not very big on the text editor that's built into that particular ISO. So you can tell it to download your text editor of choice. I'm not going to get into text editors because that's a fight I don't want to start here. It's too crazy. But you can tell it to get that and get a whole bunch of tools that you want pre-installed and run updates. And then as soon as you build those argument lists, you can tell it to vagrant up and it'll build that. And what I like about that is you can basically have a very consistent build pattern. So with virtual machines, sometimes you can make mistakes, and down the road, you're like, oh man, I really messed this up and I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong. So you go back to your original vagrant setup and spin up another virtual machine, and you're right back to square one. Your mistakes are gone, and you kind of go back down the path to try to figure out what happened. So that's pretty neat. And then another option is DigitalOcean. What I like about DigitalOcean, it's kind of a two-parter. So I wanted to get into CTFs. I had been to Converge a couple times and GurCon a few times, and what I was really scared about going into conferences was it's a hacker conference. So I'm really concerned that my password would get out there and people would get into my machine, start messing around with it. So I was like, well, let me build a personal VPN, maybe learn about VPNs. So I went to DigitalOcean, bought a $5 droplet, spun up an Ubuntu server, and built my own VPN. And I didn't know how to build VPN at the time, and I did a little bit of searching, and it turns out that DigitalOcean actually has the write-up for it right there. So even if you don't use DigitalOcean, they have a lot of write-ups on everything you can do, so check them out. So you got your hypervisor, now what do you do? Well, you're going to need some ISOs or image files. So a couple of different places if you want to get started with Linux. There's Kali, there's Ubuntu, CentOS, Fedora, Debian, Arch. There's a whole bunch of links here. All of these are free. Arch is a little bit of a higher up. If you really want to get crazy with it, go for Gen 2. Don't recommend starting out with that if you don't know what you're doing. You have to build it literally from the ground up. So check out these other ones. Obviously, if you've been here a while, you've heard about Kali. It's basically prepackaged security tools. So another cool thing is if you're looking for a Windows environment, Microsoft actually offers 90-day machines through this link here, the developer.microsoft.com, and what that does is you have a 90-day license, and literally if you read the instructions, the very first thing that it says is make a snapshot. So snapshot it, play around with it. It's a fully functional Windows environment. I don't recommend using it for your primary machine. That's why you virtualize it. But check that out. Read the instructions, please, and licenses. They've got a little caveats on it. So, some free tools to get started out. Wireshark is a super handy tool. It lets you dig into network packets and sniff network traffic. Honestly, I really wish I started out with Wireshark at the very beginning. As soon as I started hearing about network packets and breaking the headers and things like that. So it's a very handy tool. One of our team members actually got a job pretty much based off of this. He didn't know anything about Wireshark, and he got invited to the team, and he sat down and he self-taught himself Wireshark. He made a Christmas scan out of it and just kind of really got into Wireshark. And he got an interview and got hired by a local cybersecurity firm. So that was pretty neat. PuTTY is going to be pretty handy. You can SSH and Telnet if you really want to Telnet into things. Please don't Telnet. But it's a super simple terminal. It lets you log into various things. If you're doing a DigitalOcean droplet, they recommend getting PuTTY to jump into your virtual machine on their servers, and then they kind of help you with building private keys and things like that. So PowerShell is another cool tool. A lot of people don't know that PowerShell actually went open source in April, so it's now available not just on Microsoft machines, but on Linux and Mac OS as well. So if you're trying to get into PowerShell and trying to learn that, and you're more of a Linux or Mac guy, go for it. Give it a try. There's Notepad++, which is it's been my staple for coding. Anything that I want to code in, it's pretty much got it already right there. Color codes all your code, so it makes it easier to notice if you've missed a semicolon somewhere or added too many spaces or an extra character. It'll basically just stand everything out to you. There's a whole bunch of different configurations that you can do to it. You can change the language because when you first drop your code in there, if you don't tell the language, it just kind of looks like Notepad. And then say you're working with a Perl script, you can change it to Perl, and suddenly all the commands just jump out at you. It gives you a very vivid picture of what you're doing and really easy to troubleshoot some stuff. The other thing that I've recently picked up is Visual Studio Code. It's not just for Visual Studio. There's a whole bunch of plugins that you can throw in there. I've been trying to give it a try. I'm having trouble loading the plugins myself, but it's because I'm very new at it. But I saw that there was Python, that there was Perl, there was C++, C#, all kinds of stuff in there. So if you're interested in that, give that a look. So one of the main things that a lot of people freak out about is the like documentation, PowerPoint presentations, Word documents, things like that. There's a lot of free options for that as well. There's OpenOffice, there's LibreOffice, and they don't just make their own proprietary file type. You can save it as a docx if you really want to turn into places that do have Microsoft Word. Their slides programs can also turn into PowerPoints. So another option is Google. Google has pretty much every single Office software built into their Google suite. It does require a Google account and an internet connection, but you can also save all of the files back off as Microsoft files too. So really great at turning in assignments and things like that. So obviously you go to google.com, top right there's a little 9 dots, click on it, and it's right there. So hacking conference, obviously we want to get into some hacking, so here's some hackable things. Metasploitable is made by Rapid7. It's a super vulnerable machine. It's all right there. You fire it up in a VM, and it's vulnerable. So it's really good to use and learn Metasploit on Kali and test tools on. There's also the OWASP Juice Shop. It's a vulnerable web shop for you to test tools on, similar to that of Metasploitable, but it's now just an entire web shop, so kind of like Amazon. So you can get their companion guide on their website, and you can also donate when you go to get that companion guide, help them create their stuff. It's totally up to you. There's also BWAP. The BBox is literally a buggy web app machine. Similar to Metasploitable, you can run tools against it to test web vulnerabilities and things like that. There's Google Gruyere, and they have a lot of cheesy puns in there. It's another web app to hammer out, and it's made by Google. There's also Over the Wire. It's a war game site. They have a general path that you go down, but you're free to grab any of the challenges that are there. If you follow their path, there's a little story behind it and all that fun stuff. So give that a try. They'll definitely show you the way. So if you're more of a book learner, a lot of handy tools out there. There's Pact. My father-in-law showed this to me a couple months ago, and as of this morning, I have 150 books in my library thanks to them. And a lot of times when people think, oh, it's a free book, it's got to be like from 1999, and it's not useful in my environment now. One of the books that they offered recently was released within the last month, so it's up to date information. and it's 100% free if you go through their free book, which I posted the link right there. Otherwise, they do sell their books. If you buy in bulk, you get a lot of discounts towards it. I bought a $30 bundle, which ended up being 3 books. You also have the option of getting printed books, which rises the cost of it quite a bit, but their ebooks are really low cost. Then there's Humble Bundle. When people hear Humble Bundle, they think that it's more of video games, things like that. They got into books recently. It's any amount of money that you give to Humble Bundle, you can choose to give directly to Humble Bundle. You can choose to give it to the publisher, or you can donate everything to charity, which is really cool. You can change the charity that you donate to. They give you a general charity to give to. The one that's running right now, which is 3 days left, is a Python bundle. What's really neat about that is it's got a $50 DigitalOcean credit in there. So if you pay $25, you now have an additional $25 towards DigitalOcean. So that one's running for another 3 days. Give that a check. So there's also the Amazon Kindle. When people hear Amazon Kindle, they think the little reading device or the tablet. Well, there's also a web application that you can use, or even download it directly to your computer. They offer a lot of free books there. It's kind of hard to get to the free books, and every time that I hammer out the path and I get it down, they change how the link appears, or change ever so slightly how you get to it. So once you find it, grab a bookmark. The current path for that right now is you hover over departments, click on Kindle e-readers and books, click on Kindle books, pick a category, link to the bestsellers, and top 100 free. So here's a couple of screenshots. Hover over departments, and then this little drop-down menu pops up. Click on Kindle books under the Kindle store, hover over Kindle e-readers and ebooks on the left-hand side. Click on Kindle books underneath the Kindle store. Then on the left-hand side of that screen, at the very bottom is a Kindle ebooks section. For this, I clicked on computers and tech. Then on that page, click on bestsellers. And then it will show you by default the top 100 paid books. Click on top 100 free, and you're there. Bookmark that. You can bounce around from the different categories there. I just bookmark this as soon as I get it, and then check it every week or so. I've gotten 300 and something books through this. So if you're more of a visual learner, more of a hands-on learner, there's a couple different places you can go. There's Library. They're more geared towards getting certifications. You can sign up for a lot of cool classes. They will push a lot of certification towards you. They offer a lot of discount codes to go get a certification if that's something that you're interested in. So Codecademy offers a lot of programming languages. When I wrote this talk, they offered a whole bunch of free. They recently changed their website ever so slightly that you have to sign up for a pro account to kind of pick and choose what you want to learn, which kind of ticked me off, but it's still pretty low cost. It's $19.99 for a pro subscription. They do have a free pathway to kind of get your feet wet into coding and see what you like. There's Khan Academy. There's a lot of subjects in here, not just computers. There's things like math, science, arts, things like that. So my niece was struggling with math, and the first place I sent her was Khan Academy, and she just suddenly started getting algebra again. So give that a check. W3 Schools has a lot of web languages and such. It's the sole reason that I was able to pass SQL. I started my first path through college was to start getting into computer programming, and I had the programming mindset of C++, and then started getting SQL, and queries were they weren't coming to me. So went to W3 Schools and was able to pick up a lot of really handy information. So when I gave this talk at MySec, someone popped in and said, "Hey, check out Udemy." I gave it a look, and it's actually pretty cool. There's $10 courses there, and there's a lot more than just computer programming. He said that he signed up for a yoga class for $10, so he's learning how to do yoga. So give that a check out. So if you really want to start talking with people, there's a lot of free options for that as well. There's Slack. Slack is a team-based project management system. On the free channels, they do limit the amount of messages that they keep. They do keep the messages further back, so if you decide later on that you want to pay for it, you can get those messages back. So if someone says something really important to you, screenshot it, download it, save it in a text file, do something with it, because depending on how active your Slack channel is, it'll disappear in a couple weeks or a couple months. The MySec Slack that we have actually gets filled up rather quickly, and while I was building this talk, what ended up happening is I got all my thoughts down, had it all fixed up, ready to go, and the weekend before I went to upload or to check it out, and my hard drive ate my PowerPoint, and it just completely crashed. I was like, oh no. So the weekend before I started putting it back together, and I went back to Slack, and within the couple weeks that had transpired, all of the notes that people had sent me were gone. So I learned a very hard lesson: backups and download everything that you need. So keep that in mind. If you're more of a voice chat kind of person, there we go. There's Discord. Discord hosts it's hosted voice and chat servers. It's free. It's hosted on Discord servers themselves, so you don't have to build anything for it. You don't have to host it yourself. You don't have to put your public IP out there like some of the other voice chat systems. Or spin up a virtual machine or DigitalOcean Droplet or buy a service from somebody. These are 100% free. So do take note that their privacy policy is a little vague on what they do with what's there, so maybe don't get on and talk about things that you don't want saved and possibly put out there. So there's also Keybase. Keybase is an encrypted chat and file sharing system. You start out by declaring yourself on social media, and that just kind of links it back to say that you are in fact the person that's making the keybase, and then you can start sharing encrypted files with people that you follow, as well as have encrypted chat messages. My other recommendation is to join a community. If you were here for Ben Carroll's talk before mine, he talked about how he was able to get a job through his interaction with the InfoSec community. So find like-minded individuals, talk with them, bounce ideas off of them, share ideas, all that fun stuff. So I'm going to give a shameless plug to MySec. That's www.mysec.us. Give them a check. And obviously you've probably seen a couple of us floating around here. So a whole lot of work can be tiring. So remember to take a break and have some fun too. You can really get entertainment on the cheap as well. So this is my slide to kind of take a break and catch my breath. Just absolutely love this GIF. So at the start of the conference, I had shared this with a couple of buddies of mine, and Luke started talking about like what superpower would you like? And one of the guys said, bees. Like, what do you mean bees? Someone annoying you? Bees. Someone stopped you in traffic? Bees. So video games, obviously a good way to pass time. There's good old games. There's a lot of older games as well as new games. They work on the compatibility of the older games, so if you're looking for something that you played in the past, have that nostalgia feeling, they do build a lot of compatibility into it. I used to play a lot of Might and Magic, and when I tried loading it up onto my i7 at home, it said, "Hey, guess what? Your processor isn't strong enough." I'm like, what do you mean my processor isn't strong enough? It's an i7. It doesn't have 34 megahertz. I'm like, what do you mean? It's got 4 gigs. What are you talking about? So they get around a lot of the compatibility issues, things like that, and then they release the game. So it's really low cost. They have a lot of sales on there. So Humble Bundle again. They also offer video games and comic books and literature books and all kinds of cool things. Again, you can donate to whoever you like. If the publisher that's selling that particular game, you don't want to support them, you can donate your money to a charity instead. There's also Steam. Steam has a lot of really great sales, and if there's not a sale going on, there's usually a lot of low-cost games. There's a couple games that came out that are terminal-based or have a terminal-like feel to them, HackMud and HackNet. I picked those up and thought it was really cool that I could type ls and it showed me a whole list of files that were on a system. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. So I was playing it and my buddy's like, why are you typing the commands? There's a graphical interface. I was like, that's not fun. That's not the point of this. So you can kind of get your feet wet with jumping around hacking and things like that through video games as well. And there's also other games out there like Doki Doki Literature Club. Okay. So another thing I want to point out is health. So everyone's situation is a little bit different. So I'm just going to kind of lightly touch on this. Your health is important. Putting cheap stuff in your body or getting cheap care can lead to some rough consequences. I'm kind of dealing with that myself. I went through a double hernia repair just recently, and it's not that fun. So if you can, try to pay attention to your body. Try to keep an eye on what you put in there. Get doctor help. Get dental work. Things like that. So another thing is that the keynote from Converge on May 10th from Amanda Berlin. Highly recommend watching that. It is at times a little bit tough to sit through. I almost broke down myself a couple times watching it. So I feel it's really important. A lot of people don't think about mental health and with the stress of life and things like that. So give it a look. Check it out. I put a link to Iron Geek's page on there. You can also find it on YouTube. So just quick cautionary. Everything I've talked about, do the research before downloading anything or running any scripts. When I was first starting out, years ago, I paid attention to 4chan advice, which was very detrimental to my computer. Not really too happy that I thought I had the System32 virus and deleted System32 and killed my computer. So obviously, before you run anything, check it out, read into the scripts, see what the scripts are doing. Sometimes the tools can actually be sending data back that you don't really know about. So keep an eye on that. Another quote that kind of sits with me is, if you aren't paying for it, you are the product. Recently, a lot of free platforms have been selling your data, like social media, things like that. They've been caught in a couple really nasty scandals. So just kind of be mindful of what you put out there. Be careful what you download, use. And other things like free apps on your phone. If you look at the file permissions, the app permissions, it says that it needs full access to your network and to see who's on your network and see all your running apps and take screenshots of your screen and all this other stuff. And all you want to do is play like Flappy Bird or something. So it's like, why do you need an internet connection to tap the screen a couple times to get through? So be mindful of that. I touched base on piracy a little bit earlier. To me, it's a short-term gain for long-term consequences. Starting out, you want to save as much money as possible, and you want to get your hands on the most expensive tools, but you don't have the money, so you kind of start looking for other ways to get stuff. Someone was looking for free entertainment at our college, and we got hit with a cease and desist letter to the tune of about $2 million for 2 videos. So he got really freaked out to the point where he was physically ill for a couple of days after he found out about that, and kind of like went away for a little bit and came back. It's like, okay, I apologize, it was me, I won't do it again. And he started buying like Netflix subscriptions, things like that. So just because you can find it online doesn't necessarily mean that it is free. So that means is it may be a paid piece of software and someone uploaded it to a public or what they feel is a private file share, and it accidentally got sent online. So kind of be mindful about what you're downloading there. So any questions, comments, concerns? All right, here's my contact information. You can find me at Twitter at Gondrith, Keybase Gondrith, and again, MySec has a Slack channel. You can get there by mysec.herokuapp.com. So, thanks.